And we're always looking for Dad's approval as we're launched into adulthood. Well, if Dad's kind of a lump on the couch, we don't get his approval because he's just kind of...
Or staying at work till 9 at night,
yeah,
or whatever.
Or staying on the computer
He's
at
so
home.
important, and he's important for sons, and he's important for daughters. And when dads are involved in an active way with their kids, in an emotional way with their kids, it's amazing what the difference is with their kids and how strong and confident their kids will become.
One of the prayers.
Yes, yes.
You mentioned, I marked it here with my heart, that you love to teach couples, is in Philippians. What verse was it, folks?
It's
Chapter 1, verses 9 and 10.
And
Paul says, "This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of understanding or insight." See, that's beautiful, but it gets better. "So that you may be able to discern what is the best and to be kept pure and blameless until the day of Christ." You start praying that for each other on a daily basis. Watch what God does. It's incredible. There's other prayers too, but that's our favorite one.
And you teach many prayers, but this is really your foundational
Well,
one.
we pray, every seminar we do, we pray that for every couple there before we get there, and then we use that as the introduction to our
This is taking
workshops.
that good marriage to the greater place.
Or taking a weak marriage to turn the corner and start moving towards the good marriage. And then
Okay, you warriors, you know what you have to battle through. The pace of our culture, the busyness of lives. And you've got some people saying, well, it sounds like time and investment, and I just can't even cope with what I'm doing right now.
Well, then we need to slow down a little bit. When I've got a couple in the office, one of the things, when they get into a fight, it's interesting. They'll get into an argument in the office, and it's just, boom, they're down the road 10 miles within 2 seconds. And I say, you got to slow down. You got to slow down the interaction. And boy, it's hard to do. But if we can do that, and see, I think that's, a core of what we do is teaching couples how to pray together. And if you can take 5-10 minutes a day as a couple to pray together, the difference it makes in your marriage is incredible.
That'll quiet things down a little bit.
I talk to couples, I say, take 15 minutes after dinner, tell the kids go play, and you sit at the table, have another cup of coffee, and just talk about your day. And if a couple will do that 5 days a week, 5 out of the 7 days, I've seen it transform their marriage.
You're talking about 5 to 10 minutes, 5 days a week.
That's praying together 7 days a week. But 15 minutes after dinner, just sit there and talk about the day, and then do the dishes and the cleanup and get the kids back in to help. But tell the kids, you got 15 minutes, go play. Mom and Dad are going to sit here and talk a minute. And you don't talk about anything deep. You just talk, how was your day? And you listen. It's that friendship that you're nurturing, and it's amazing what it does for a marriage. So.
Are the best marriages, have you found over all the years and all the hours of counseling, the ones that began as friendships? Or the ones that were romance first?
No, I think friendship is the foundation. And if it doesn't start with a friendship, it's someplace along the way you've got to build that friendship.
And you're telling us just how to do that. So many things. One of the myths, and you've talked about the machine gun fire conflict, because they've been doing it for hours and hours.
Yeah.
Conflict doesn't mean that you're incompatible. That's one of the myths, isn't
Well,
it?
we're all incompatible because she's a woman, I'm a man. That makes us incompatible.
And most of the time they're opposites, right?
In a lot of ways, yeah.
We are very, very opposite. And I'm the type of person that just, I may not show it right here, but I usually just talk and my words tumble over each other, and
She's got a grease slide from brain to mouth. Zip, enters her brain and zip it's out the mouth. See, and she says I've got a French horn in there. It takes forever to get through all the tubes to get down to my mouth.
So he's always processing, and it's hard for me because I feel rejection when I don't get the answer. Many couples feel that, the wife wants more talk, and she doesn't get it because he's always processing, and it's hard for me.
And she can't stand the silence while I process, so she keeps giving me new information, and I've got to start all over, so I never get to it.
So what's the good news about this conflict?
Well, once you understand that that's part of the attraction. See, when I met her, I loved her.
She was the spark plug for your life.
Oh yeah, and I could follow along. And when she met me, I was
mysterious and quiet and
deep.
Deep waters, yes. And then she found out, boy, it's kind of morbid.
So what do you do about that?
Well, see, we can laugh about it now. We role play this in our workshops, and people just laugh and they're poking each other, And now they have a reference point where they can say, it's not personal.
Yeah,
when she's doing all this talking out loud, it's not like she's nagging me, you know, or pressuring me. She's just thinking out loud. And
but if you can understand that, if I can understand he's just processing rather than shutting me out, what a world of difference. So that's just one of the many differences.
Yeah.
If I can begin to understand that about the person I'm married to, what a world of difference.
so we've had couples say, you know, she'll say, well, he's just sitting there silent. I say, well, are you processing or have you gone somewhere else? You know, you say something like that and you laugh because it doesn't feel like a personal attack. See, Jan talks about it feels rejecting. Well, it's not rejecting, it's processing. Mm-hmm. And if you can take the personal attack out of it, it can become fun.
One of the most insightful things, I've never heard this said, but I think it needs framing. The man must be comfortable in a world of emotions.
Yeah.
Life with a woman, right?
There's a Luann cartoon in there we refer to in there, you know, where she says to him in the first little frame, well, what do you feel about this? And he gets in the next frame, you know, all this. And then the next frame, he's in this strange land. He says, where am I? And the last little frame, she says, you're in the world of emotions. You know? And a lot of guys feel that way.
You had 3 sons. You were preserved. I mean,
well, but see, I'm kind of got a lot of emotion in there, and I'm, you know, I can let it out, and they do too. but I tell a man, you know, a very analytical man, I say, you need to analyze your wife's face, and when you see a look on her face, say, what are you feeling? And because emotions have a facial expression that's universal. There's been research on that people in the most primitive tribes on the Amazon will show anger, surprise, joy, all of those emotions, the same way that somebody in the penthouse in downtown Toronto would show. It's universal. So I say you need to understand that when your wife has a look on her face, there's an emotion, and start to analyze that. And it's amazing. It gives him a comfortable way to kind of move into that.
So he's moving into the land of emotions through his intellect, through his thinking.
Through his analytical skills, yeah. So it's...
There's so many things I want to conquer here, and we've only got a few minutes. The myth of 50-50. I think this needs addressing.
Yeah, one of the things we talk about in there is how dangerous that can be. And a lot of people think, you know, marriage is 50-50. And the problem with
giving each other 50%.
Yeah, the minute she starts to give 51%, she resents me for not pulling my share. And there are times in a marriage where somebody's going to give 100% and the other one's not giving much of anything. You know, she went through surgery not too long ago, and she couldn't do anything. She still can't lift anything over 5 pounds, and so I'm filling in the gap. Well, I can. You know, if I'm on a 50-50 deal, yeah,
I did.
That's just not right. So we talk about it's 100-100, and you just focus on giving 100%, and the other one does the same thing, then that problem just doesn't rear its ugly